The first story of interest we'd like to share with you this morning is PDP Governors Forum standpoint, where they've said that they are not going to be part of any merger as far as the ongoing speculations or rumor, or should we rather call it grapevine, circulating across Nigeria, especially with the moves of planned merger or talks about a coalition led by the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party himself, a former vice president of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar. Of course, you're looking at the likes of El Rufai and Peter Obi, Rabiu Kwankwaso, and the likes of them brought into that conversation. And just last week we talked about, or yesterday we talked about the movement, the visitation to the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari, of course, by members of the planned coalition. And shortly after that, of course, we saw a counter visitation by the leadership of the APC, all geared towards swaying the former president. And of course, conversation has sprung up as a result of this visit. But interestingly, just when Nigerians were beginning to have some comfort across the part that perhaps there is hope for a planned merger between Labour Party, Peter Obi, Atiku Abubakar, El Rufai, and other stakeholders, especially within the northern part of the country, the PDP Governors Forum had declared yesterday that they are not going to be a part of any merger. And that, like you rightly posted when you introduced the story, the first question that came to my mind when I saw that story yesterday was, if PDP governors, 11 of them, have come out to say we are not going to be part of any planned merger. And as far as politics is concerned, as far as Nigeria is concerned right now, whoever is going to be the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party would need the support of a significant percentage of the governors of the states. If they have come out to say we are not going to be part of any merger, what then is the hope for the political aspiration of Atiku Abubakar? That's question number one. The second question would be, is the PDP even serious about wresting power from the opposition APC come 2027? Because as far as Nigeria is concerned right now, judging from last election, the only way that the PDP might possibly be able to wrestle power from the APC under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be to have a merger with another strong or two more strong political parties in Nigeria, and that would be the NNPP and the Labour Party, and perhaps it can bring in the ADC into the context. So a merger of PDP, Labour Party, NNPP, and SDP could possibly have a strong ground, because when you combine the numbers that these three political parties had in the just concluded 2023 general elections, it can surpass that of the APC. But individually, independently, on their own, they do not stand a chance. The only possibility you can possibly say would be the Labour Party, if we have the kind of mobilization or double demobilization that we saw before 2023 general elections, which is absolutely possible, because the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, regardless of the infighting within the party, has been very, very vocal in his criticism of the federal government, and he's also been very, very present, evidently present in the lives of Nigerians across board. So it is no longer going to be business as usual. So if there were persons who sat on the fence as far as his aspirations were concerned, and the narrative to change Nigeria and take Nigeria to the next level, those people are going to have a change of mind, which makes a lot more number to go on the side of the Labour Party. But it puts a very big question whether Atiku Abubakar will actually succeed, or perhaps another context would be, is there something that the PDP Governors Forum are looking for to get as a bargaining chip, and then they're putting this forward so they can have an upper hand to begin with whoever the presidential candidate is going to be, or whatever planned merger is on the ground. By the time they now want to be part of that merger, they have an upper hand and say, okay, if we are coming into a merger, these are our terms, and that makes it easier for them to have the upper hand.
Well, one thing that the Governors Forum is saying is that they are not going to be a part of a rape of constitutional democracy, as it were. So they are perceiving any form of coalition, any form of merger as some some form of overpowering of democracy, and then talking about just going through the reins, as it were. But there's a lot that the PDP is up against. Remember that Nyesom Wike is still a big part of that party, and he has not even begun to give his blueprint and his agenda for the party come 2027. He has not started saying, he has not started doing anything towards that election. Of course, it's not yet time. But you don't know the groundwork that Nyesom Wike has. So by the time that Nyesom Wike drops his card on the table, will the PDP Governors Forum actually still decide that a merger is not in their best interest? But then again, the flip side of this argument is a merger really what the People's Democratic Party and other parties in the country actually need? And when we're having this, conversations about a merger, we're not hearing the likes of Shore, who also went, who was also a presidential candidate in the 2023 election, and who also has some form of, great fellowship. So what happens, except we're having a room full of literally every party, strong contenders, as it were, and then they move forward. And one of the biggest questions, that has been is when you have this merger, if at all, the People's Democratic Party governors didn't come out and say they're not interested. If we had this merger, will Atiku be one of the faces on the bill? And there is great argument that if you have Atiku on that bill, it's still as good as, a no merger at all. So, and you have to remember that all of these politicians have their independent ambitions in politics. None of them is really about nation building or, they want to save the nation from falling apart. There's really none of them. All of them have a personal political ambition that they want to fulfill. And all of this would have to be the cards on the table when you're considering who is finally given the flag of the merger or the coalition when it is finally done. And that is going to still be a very heated debate. But this looks like, the Governors Forum is starting ahead of time to preempt the roadblocks, the possible roadblocks that, a foreseeable merger might experience if at all the presidential candidates decide to pull through, if they have conversations and decide to pull through. So if this is already PDP, what happens to those that come from other parties? Remember that Labour Party currently is unsure who their national chairman is, whether it's Abure or, or Lamidi, as the case may be. So these confusions are there, and every party is going to want to think of how this merger favors them. And so you're going to have a lot more people coming on that to say, oh, we are for it or against it. But then the PDP's Governors Forum comes out and releases a communique, and I'd like to quote that. The forum reiterates its position taken in Asaba on the issue. Okay, now this is about the National Secretary of the party. Now remember that there are key issues about the internal crisis in the People's Democratic Party, where the conversation about the national chairman, national secretary, and all of that have not even been rectified up to now. And recently we've been having that conversation as to how the Supreme Court is now saddled with the responsibility of resolving internal political crisis that their constitutions are just supposed to be, is just supposed to be able to absorb. The board of trustees of these parties are supposed to be able to handle. So how does this spiral out, and affect every other activity? But the main thing is, these governors are saying no merger between any party, whether it's the APC, the PDP and all of that, will not be, they will not give their support in the 2027 general elections. So that is already one snag in the wheel before we move ahead, because in recent weeks, Francis, it's looked like the conversation around coalition has received, some favor among the leads men. Now we're talking Atiku, El Rufai and the likes. It looks like the body language of that conversation has changed. But then let's see what this will mean what is Atiku going to respond to the Governors Forum?
Well,
and you have to remember, Francis, that Atiku doesn't really have direct conversations with the party, as it were. You know, these people don't interact. I don't know how to put it. Their influence internally in the party is not strong. So how are you able to convince the governors to get on this ride with you?
Well, I think even the Governors Forum's press release or communique issued as a result of their resolution is also, it has a lot of loopholes, and it has a lot of open windows and opportunities for anybody who wants to take advantage of it. I'll go to a paragraph that said, however, the PDP as a major opposition party welcomes any party, persons or groups that are willing to join with a view to wresting power and enthroning good leadership in 2027.
Join the PDP, but we will not merge with other parties.
Now, what's the merger after all? You're talking about people from other political parties. You're talking about political parties. There is no sugarcoating. There is no paraphrasing. A merger is a merger. It's a coming together of different political parties. So when you're saying on one hand, we are not interested in any merger, and then underneath the surface you're saying, but we welcome any political party, we welcome individuals. If you're saying we welcome individuals, then we'll understand that you're clearly not open for a merger, because you're talking about people decamping from other political parties to your party. But when you're talking about political parties, clearly there is an undertone for a merger that the PDP Governors Forum is not speaking up really loud. But they are making it subtle that, come on guys, there is a possibility for us to have a merger, but the condition just has to be right. That is what they're saying, in other words, which means if Rabiu Kwankwaso, Peter Obi, Atiku Abubakar, El Rufai, and every other persons, key stakeholders across the different political parties who are talking about this merger come together and give the PDP Governors Forum a right hand of fellowship, they might accept that fellowship. At the end of the day, the key emphasis of their focus is wrestling power from the APC come 2027.
And they're guaranteeing Nigerians that, I mean, we've all experienced what the APC government is like, so they are going to wrestle, they're going to take back power.
It's laughable, actually, when politicians use words like enthroning good governance. And you're going to ask, good governance, yes, we can go back to the PDP era and see some of the good things that they did, the economy, how it was, and all of that. And of course, there's going to be a serious debate as to how the world economy trajectory has been, and how during the PDP administration from Olusegun Obasanjo to Umaru Musa Yar'Adua to Jonathan, and now how it is in the APC administration. But regardless, Nigerians are going to be the judge of it. But I just would be on the part of Nigerians to believe that politicians should just stop playing politics with everything. You can't come out and tell Nigerians that you're not interested in a merger, but underneath the surface, you know very well you're ready for a merger. So what excuse would the Governors Forum give to Nigerians tomorrow when they have a merger with Rabiu Kwankwaso and Peter Obi, and perhaps Peter Obi becomes the presidential candidate of that merger? You know, what are they going to tell us? Because, I mean, these are some of the things that Nigerians will hold back. You know, but unfortunately, the political space has been bastardized in a weird manner that politicians and political parties can literally say anything. I mean, if you go back memory lane to some of the things that people who are in APC today said about the APC party, you would literally weep, and then you ask yourself, is it still these individuals, are these the same people who said so many horrible things about the APC and the APC leadership? Now that they've crossed capital into the APC, they're singing a completely new song. It's like when you're on the other side of the divide, the other person is the devil, the other political party are the devils, they are the one ruling the nation. But once you cross into it and you are favored to hold key positions in it, you sing a different song. So clearly, politicians will always sing to favor the parties that is giving them the relevance and the opportunity to remain relevant. But when they cross or they are not in that party, it is going to be a different ballgame. And that's clearly what the PDP Governors Forum is doing at this point in time for most Nigerians. But by and large, we watch, we wait, And we see 2025 is just about 4 months in. We still have about 8 months to the close of the year 2025 before we get into 2026, when we begin to hear the drum rolls in a louder format than we've seen since 2023 up until, you know, the present moment. But we hope whatever the PDP does, whatever the coalition measure would be, Nigerians would watch and see, and Nigerians would be the judge of it at the end of the day. Aside from, you know, the planned coalition and the merger, the APC on the other end is not also sleeping or resting on its oars.
Yeah.
They're doing everything possible to continue massive recruitment, to continue, you know, getting people to cross carpet from other political parties. I think last week I read about 2 or 3 House members or National Assembly members who cross carpeted from you know, different political parties into the APC. At the state level, we're still seeing this cross-carpeting. It might not be as pronounced as when it happens at the National Assembly, but the PDP or the APC is not resting. Their mantle, their mandate, their drive to have a lot more membership is not resting. And so that means on every side, we're having massive recruitment for the APC. And that raises another concern. In the midst of all of this, we're having infighting with the PDP, we're having infighting in the Labour Party. I think the only party I haven't heard much about fighting is the ADC and the NNPP and the YPP. But we've seen, you know, this consistent fight across the 2 major political parties that would have said in the categorization of major political parties. You know, the 2023 general election threw up Labour Party as a key major political party. It threw up, I think, okay, Labour Party basically. So we now had, instead of APC versus the PDP, we now had APC versus PDP and Labour Party. So these 2 other strong political parties right now, in terms of leadership, are not so strong, which places, you know, a very delicate situation. When is the PDP, when is the Labour Party going to wake up from its slumber and deal with its internal crisis and then be able to put its house in order to now prepare for 2027?
Now, there's a lot of concern, you know, where we are speaking about this. One of the things that we also see is that the likes of Dele Momodu, who is, you know, a strong player in the political ethos of Nigeria, has said that, what are your thoughts if the PDP governors, as, you know, a slight possibility that they're working for President Tinubu at this time? Because remember that El Rufai has alleged that the APC is the one cooking up the troubles that are happening in other political parties. The internal crisis that are happening is not necessarily of these parties. It is something instigated, you know, by factions through the APC. Well, those are still allegations that we have no way of actually proving. But Dele Momodu is also saying that these PDP governors that have come out to say that they will not support any coalition or merger may be working for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu or the APC, as it were. And that is a very, very strong allegation that we see. Now, one thing that we see also is that a lot of people are, you know, excited about the coalition that is coming about this merger, because we've all come to agree that Atiku Abubakar can't do it on his own. Peter Obi, Kwankwa, so all of them can't do it. So the strongest thing to do for a lot of Nigerians is that this coalition will work if they would do it. The likes of Dele Momodu are talking about the fact that they gave APC their support, you know, during 2014 and 2015. But right now, APC needs to be repaid in its own coin. Now, we'll take a quick video, just an excerpt talking about this particular issue this morning, and then we have Dr. Ali Ilyas on the line to respond to this merger conversation.
Merger of political parties, groups, and or associations, the forum resolved that the PDP will not join any coalition or merger. However, the PDP, as a major opposition party, welcomes any party, persons, or groups that are willing to join it with a view to wresting power and enthroning good leadership in 2027. 2. The forum reiterates its position taken in Asaba on the issue of the national secretary of the party, but in the wake of the Supreme Court judgment, the forum resolved to recommend that the deputy national secretary acts as a national secretary pending the nomination and ratification of a substantive national secretary from the Southeast Zone at NEC at its next meeting.
And just as Francis said, there's a whole lot of confusion there. You don't want to support a coalition, but you're saying that the PDP is open for, you know, everyone that wants to come, even parties that want to. What exactly are we saying? And that this kinds of conversation gives strength to the postulations of the likes of Dele Momodu at this time. But and remember that Dele Momodu is a part of the People's Democratic Party, and he's saying if these people are saying they will not support the coalition, it means they are probably working for a Tinubu presidency. And this will not be the first time that we're seeing it happen. Nyesom Wike is a great testimony of that. He remained in the People's Democratic Party, worked for, you know, the Tinubu-led administration, acknowledged it, and is still in the People's Democratic Party. But we have Dr. Ali Ilyas, who is an ace public affairs analyst, joining us this morning from Abuja. Let's just see what the thought of the community of analysts have to say about these postulations about merger. Good morning, Dr. Ilyas. Good to have you on Rise and Shine.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. So, big conversation on the floor. It looks like in recent days, there has been some flicker of hope that the likes of Atiku Abubakar, Kwankwaso, and Peter Obi, maybe El Rufai on one side, maybe coming together in a merger, and the sole, you know, goal is to unseat the APC government come 2027. First of all, I would ask, is a merger really what the political parties in Nigeria need at this time? Do you think that a merger would give them a good go for the presidency, or what strategies should we even be looking at?
Right. I think merger is very, very important. Merger is what can make other parties to unseat the incumbent president. And to have merger, there must be a good understanding. A merger must not come from small party coming together. It must come from small party aligning with a big party, which is very, very key. So for them to go and match, it will become the same thing that happens in the last election, where Obi and Atiku, we take their votes that is supposed to come from one block, and it may also result to that.
So you're talking about that a merger would be more effective if we had smaller parties collapsing their structure to work with the big party. But in this context, we have seemingly big parties, Labour Party and the NNPP. Because another concern here is that there might be a fight of political ambition amongst all the key players here. How do you think that they can resolve this?
Right. Well, for now, I don't think Labour Party is number 2.
Hello, Dr. Elias.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So for now, I do not think Labour Party is number 2. Labour Party should be like number 3, and Kwankwaso should be like number 4. So I was thinking if they can come with the number 2, that would have made more meaning, because coming together, you know, would have given them a stronger, you know, Nigeria will even trust them the more because of what we experience. So I'm not seeing, and even for now, it's still an ambition. I'm not seeing them still coming together. But when I talk about Atiku and Kwankwaso, I'm not sure they would like to be in political camp. And for me, I still see Kwankwaso are still working with Kahoot with APC. So I don't see him coming together with Atiku in the long run.
Okay, so Doctor, let's come back to the key point of the emphasis. Part of the things that is consistent in all of this conversation, whether it's the communique issued by the PDP's Governors Forum or the comment coming from the likes of El Rufai and Atiku Abubakar, at the base of the conversation is that they want to wrestle power from the APC government. Do you see a possibility of these key players, because of the underlying tone and the essence of their plan major, putting aside their differences for the first time perhaps to create that major, just to, you know, ensure that that dream of wresting power from the APC is becomes a reality come 2027, before they can now go into the dynamics of who takes who and who takes what?
Will that even favor Nigerians as a whole?
Well, the fact is that you recall that we have El Rufai mocking Muhammad Buhari during Obasanjo era that Muhammadu Buhari is weak, he cannot become anything. But at the end of the day, we see El-Rufai still coming back to APC and also supporting. We also seen El-Rufai mocking Tinubu. You know, but we later saw El-Rufai campaigning that he should go to Tinubu. So their difference is not an issue in as much as their interest is satisfied. So it is more of interest, not the way around that you have abused me before, you have insulted me before. No, it is interest. So now the interest of El-Rufai is coming to align with the interest of Atiku, and that's why we are seeing them together. So it is the interest that counts in politics.
Okay, so one key thing now is the People's Democratic Party's Governors Forum, who have come out to say that they will not support any coalition. So it looks like conversations of any coalition on the PDP front is already dead on arrival. All of us can remember the G7 and then they fell to G4 and all of that. We have 11 governors under the aegis of the PDP who say they will not support any merger. What are your thoughts? Dele Momodu is of the opinion that if they are already saying that they may be working for the Tinubu presidency.
Right. I think it reignites my hope of opposition in Nigeria, seeing them together yesterday, coming together with one voice. I think it's a good one. I don't see where a big party will align with a small party and they won't change rule. You that have about 11 governors, have a lot of members in the House of Assembly. I don't see a reason why they will say they want to merge. Any small party can come and merge with them. So I think it's a good, I love that. And that would have sent a signal to APC that, yes, we are still a good opposition to you. So we are calling actually rescue the power with you. I think it's a good one because, it does not even resonate only in the federal. If you are showing that kind of weakness, it will also affect those things. Those things might end up reducing. So their strength should be they want to galvanize power to get more states. If you cannot take power from the incumbency, you can plan for 2031 where the ground will be much more clean compared to now. So I think it's a good direction they are going. And I'm happy that it was Bala Mohammed that led the presentation.
Okay, so this is majorly about, PDP not merging with others, but others can come merge with them, if I get you right.
That is right. That is exactly because there is no basis for a bigger party, going into collaboration and changing the APC case was a bit different. They have to come from ANPP, CPC, and all of you. And you remember, ANPP have governors, CPC have governors, all of them have what they need. Even AC have their governor in Lagos and all those things. But on this basis, what are they actually bringing to the table? The only one that we can talk is ABGA and MNPP. And I'm not sure those ones are ready to actually let go.
All right, that makes a whole lot of sense to us, better than, because in Bala Mohammed's speech, he said they will not support the coalition, but they are open to parties coming, to them. And there was quite a misunderstanding there. We are glad that you have put that straight. Because they are a big party, they can't go to smaller parties, but smaller parties can come to them and then they work together towards the same goal. But I do hope that, the people at the helms, talking about Atiku, Peter Obi and the likes, can understand that particular paradigm and do what is best in the interest of Nigeria. But one key question is, this merger, is it about the politicians involved? Or is it really about saving Nigeria from the current economic trajectory that it is on under the Tinubu-led government and the APC?
Right. I'm happy that this question you raised is quite instructive and exposes the weakness of our political party. Ideally, they're supposed to be looking at a way of rescuing Nigeria from the quagmire of this economic challenge. But as it were now, we are seeing that it's a personal aggrandizement. You can see that El-Rufai is taking that from position of being denied, and you can see Atiku is a serious contestant. He's also taking it that he wants to also contest. So it looks more personal than to say that they're actually trying to rescue Nigeria from this economic woes.
So it's not really about us. All right, then.
Okay. Just another concern I would have, and I know that Nigerians would have at this point, is in the midst of all that is happening, there is infighting within the PDP, the Labour Party. Other political parties are not really standing strong internally as we speak. Now, do you see a possibility of these smaller parties solving their issues first off, uniting before now, coming to have a merger? Because if we have a merger between the PDP and other small political parties, like you've suggested or you stated clearly this morning, without the political parties themselves being strong, it still would not be able to form a formidable alliance that could wrestle power from the APC.
Right. My major concern is that we are the party that actually want to fight, want to take government in the center from APC. I find it difficult to even see any, even within PDP, because you cannot continue to have internal rancor and say you want to fight. You must come united at any point. See what is happening to Labour Party. You could see that, for me, I always see Obi as someone who is concerned about himself. You're not concerned about political party, because you must solve political party problem. You cannot fly your own flag, individual. There is no room for independent candidates. You must come as under a political party. So there must be a solution to a Labour Party problem. You could see NMPP today they will say they have expelled Rabbi Musa Kwankwaso. Today they have said the governor is not their member. Because of CPDP, they keep on having different issues. So until they solve internal problems, before they can even win their state back, that's what PDP should be wary. That can they wrestle power in Anambra, which is the next election? Let them prove to us to Anambra, and let's see if they're actually ready.
That's a really serious one that they have put on the table, because there's a lot of confusion even as to who should go where. But let's take a swipe just quickly. I know you're pressed for time this morning, Doc, but another key issue we have as a problem now is the spate of insecurity springing out again in the north of Nigeria. Plateau, in the last week alone, has been hit about 2 times, and we have scores of persons that have been reported dead. Same goes for Benue State as of now. I mean, Governor Hyacinth has said that he cannot account for anyone who wants to come to Benue State as of now without his knowledge. So we have the likes of Peter Obi who intended to go there. But the president has given a standing order asking that the governor of Plateau State, Caleb Mutfwang, moves with all of his political will to address the issue. The weight of insecurity in this state, is it beyond the state governors if the president is putting, the pressure to solve the case on the governors at this time?
Right. If you want to cool the issue of Plateau, I think that's old as our democracy. We have been seeing continuous attacks on that amplitude. And you recall that most of them have been traced down to communal clashes in terms of ownership of land. I think it is the right time for government to look into it. And I'll bring it down to the governor, Mutfwang. I was happy he was not part of the meeting yesterday. There has been a serious condemnation for him. But I think he has responsibility of actually pushing it out. I just listened to an argument now. And the argument says that why, in the issue of Boko Haram, what's his name? There is this Shakau was named, Tulji was named that they are looking for. In this case of Plateau, we've not seen a name. We've not seen a group mentioned. Why? There must be traces, and we must hold people accountable, hold people responsible. But we've not got to see that. So the only thing we see that there's a reprisal attack. Who is the reprisal attack? Where is the attack coming from? Until we start exposing those evil people, I don't think we'll do. So it is a duty of the governor to do his findings and declare those people that are actually causing this problem, declare them wanted and deal with them decisively.
So we have a great work that the governors, we have Hyacinth also here on this day, because Benue is also experiencing a lot of farmer header clashes, which has continued to take a lot of lives. But this, particular set of insecurity has more ethnic undertones than just, what will you call it, banditry attacks. So how would you say, yes, so where is the traditional council on addressing this kind of issue? If we are talking about, ethnic boundaries, resources, and all of that, how can these things be addressed? Like you have just said, the case in Plateau has gone on for the longest of time. Why haven't we found the way, successive administrations on, to solve it? Because we keep losing lives.
Absolutely, you are correct. Because if you look at it, where is the position of the traditional ruler? Why would there be a mayhem, a fight, a communal clash in the environment, and you cannot account for what actually happened? There must be an intel that tell you that this is where it's coming from. So I think by now there should be only those traditional rulers responsible for those things, because before there will be reprisal attack, it must have been discussed somewhere, and someone will have concluded it. So I think there are another thing I think we should start looking at now. I don't know why we are not that sophisticated at this point in time. There could be a way that you can spotlight, you can check the satellites and see what happened on the ground. Who actually started? Where did they get it from? How will they move? These are the things we must go to everything, because if we keep on going with this when we are doing things, the thing might get worse, and we will not find solutions to it. These are the problems that we need to face. When the former general was attacked, they find a way of rescuing that general. Is it until it happens to the big men in our midst before we look for final solution? Because this is actually affecting the downtrodden people. So there must be serious intentions from them. And I know our president is actually away. So I don't know how he's also reacting to these issues.
Yes, I mean, he has ordered, a fresh offensive in Plateau State and has asked, Caleb Mutfwang to put all of his political will on the table. But the next question would be, where is the DHQ, the Nigerian, military, the Nigerian Air Force, that joint task force that has been reporting of quelling banditry hideouts in the forest of Nigeria? Where are they, and what are they doing on this repeated and fresh resurgence of insecurity in the north of Nigeria?
Now, I will collapse all that question to one, and I will say, where is our NSA? Because NSA is expected to control and command and coordinate all these affairs. Where is the NSA? In fact, for me, I think a lot of crime is happening, a lot of mayhem is happening, but it's underreported. Because if we can be seeing this, that means that office needs to be looking into properly. He has to coordinate, and we must be proactive. We shouldn't wait until things happening before we know or to show force. And we are supposed to have a standby military. Because there are people that were killed while they are traveling that address was the last 2 years. So there must be a satellite continuously on Plateau.
Well, really serious case that we see. The question that Dr. Ali Elias is asking this morning is, where is the NSA? What exactly are they doing? Are they not, gathering enough intel? And is the manpower not strong enough? Don't we have enough artillery to actually quell this issue? Sadly, the insecurity is going beyond the north. We're also having, several states in the west, Ogun, or you're reporting header clashes also in their communities. So it's actually time for us to move on with a lot of proactivity. Doctor, I don't know if you have any final words before we let you go this morning.
Right. We must fight this insecurity before it consumes us all. We must not wait until it concerns us before we raise our voice. And that's why I'm appreciating such media like yours that bring it to our front burner to discuss. So let's continue to have it in the front burner. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you, Doctor,
for coming on Rise and Shine this morning. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Great conversation that we see there. The responsibility, just as Doctor has said this morning, goes way beyond, like we've continued to say in recent times. We can't skip all the wrongs of governance and always go to the presidency first. There are people that are saddled with different responsibilities according to the electoral mandate. Why are they not living up to these responsibilities? Now, our guest has just said that the governors of these states have a responsibility to, first of all, internally recognize the non-state actors in their midst, and maybe then ask for the help of the NSA and all the rest of the security architecture to help come in and fight the cause. But I also say our traditional rulers must become a part of fighting insecurity in the country.